The House will come to order. All members will take their seats, so all guests please clear the aisle. The clerk will unlock the machine and take the roll. Members will record their presence by pressing the green button. Is there any member present not yet recorded? Clerk, please lock the machine. Why am I not getting? There are 68 members present. There is a quorum. Representative Diaz is here. All rise for the invocation to be delivered by Representative Natalillo, who will also lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. O Lord, as we begin this legislative year, we have much work to do and difficult decisions to make. Help us to govern wisely and to be responsive to the needs of the people of Rhode Island. I pledge allegiance
to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Representative Natalillo. Is there objection to the approval of the journal of the previous day? Hearing none, so ordered. The next order of business, communications. Is there any communications? Clerk, please read.
Representative Karen Macbeth is unable to attend session Wednesday, January 13th, 2016.
Received and placed on file. The next order of business is new business. Is there any new business? Representative Riley, Representative Filippi, Whip Edwards, Representative Corvasi, Representative Serper, Representative Kennedy, Representative Agello, Representative Tanzi, Representative Canario, and Representative McAtee. You're up for new business. Representative Amore. Representative Craven. Representative Sakachi, new business. Representative, Chippendale. Representative Morgan, are you up for new business? Representative Morgan, new business. Is there any other new business? Representative Laughlin, new business. Okay, last call for new business. Representative Tabone, new business. Anyone else for new business? Representative Winfield, do you have new business or are you just waving papers around? Just waving papers around. Thank you. Representative Fogarty, new business. Chairman McNamara, new business. Okay, this is really the last call. Any other new business? Announcements and introductions. Are there any announcements or introductions? Representative Williams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today I have the distinct honor to present to you, and I ask you all to join me in welcoming family to the chamber. I'm a little bit kind of jealous because they are the traveling trio. They are coming from Brazil, no, actually, excuse me, Panama, to Brazil, to Atlanta, to Rhode Island. They needed to make a pit stop to say hello and come in and see the General Assembly. And on their way to the airport in the next 30 minutes to get back on their road trip. So I would like this time to introduce my cousin, Ana Patricia Hartley. And I had to say Patricia because she knows about Patricia, my friend. Antonio Hartley and Marisol Hartley. Please welcome them.
Welcome to the House on the coldest day of the year. Announcements. Representative Ucci.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As a point of order, I'd like a ruling from the Chair on Rule 41F.
One moment.
I'm only kidding. I have an announcement in an introduction.
Sit down, Representative Ucci. Proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As we talk about our economic development in Rhode Island, we learn more and more of our global economy. And the way that we expand our global economy is by utilizing our universities to reach out and to extend our image as a state worldwide. And I'm very pleased today that we have with us visitors from Edinburgh Napier University and the Providence College School of Business that are embarking on a collaborative class over the next semester, working with FM Global and EMC to do a tabletop exercise on a cyber and data issue. So the students from both schools will be working together on a global project that will simulate an IT security issue. Something very important as we grow the economy of our state as we look at cyber issues and other security issues. And bringing them all together is a person who I've known for many years, Dr. Francine Knuth. Dr. Knuth was my professor at Providence College, my favorite professor, I have to tell you. Yes, I did get an A in her class. And she is here. She's recently been recognized as a Fulbright Scholar, and she's also an author. Joining her is Professor Debbie Maharg from Edinburgh Napier University, Maureen Ronaldson, and I would now like to introduce the students who are here. So from Edinburgh, we have Pavel Merlik, we have Martin Brown, Paul Flack, Camille Volchik, Alexandra Potsova, and Matthew Muir. And from Providence College, we have R.J. DiPietri. Yes, I can pronounce that one. I can pronounce DiPietri. Bill DeRita from Providence College, who was in my Boy Scout troop, Troop 20 Johnston. Katie Layden, and Jim Lineberger. So on behalf of the House of Representatives in the state of Rhode Island, we wish to welcome you to the House chamber and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, Representative Ucci, there is Rule 41. 41F was done away with many years ago, just for your information. Any other announcements or introductions? Representative Norton.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker Pro Tempore. I have, if we could go back to a resolution for new business, I'd ask for immediate consideration, and if you would be kind enough to leave it on the desk for additional signatures.
So ordered. Representative Norton. A resolution for immediate consideration. It will be left on the desk for signatures.
And if I may, I'd like to introduce some very active citizens that have brought great joy and quality of life to our state.
Proceed.
Thank you. Today we're celebrating the 25th years ago. This body was established by the Rhode Island General Assembly, the Rhode Island Rivers Council, to improve and preserve the quality of the state's rivers and other bodies of water. Since that time, the Council has made enormous strides and vast improvements. 25 years ago, any actions stopped at municipal borders. This was a novel, new concept to do comprehensive environmental work. Today, I want to introduce to you a few of the people whose hard work and diligent oversight has had tremendous effect on our rivers and our lives.
One moment, Representative. Proceed.
When I say your name, please stand and remain standing. Veronica Barunsky is the chairwoman of the Rhode Island Rivers Council. She is a marine ecologist at the University of Rhode Island Graduate School of Oceanography. She is a board member of the Narrow River Preservation Association. Rachel Calabro, Vice Chair of the Council, works for Save the Bay and has a degree in geology from URI and works as an environmental educator. And Lisa McGreevy is the Secretary. She is with the Department of Environmental Management, a representative on this board, and she works for DEM as a planner. Guy Lefebvre is a former chairman of the Council. He is a longtime activist who has dedicated his life not only to preserving rivers, but their recreational use as well. Meg Kerr is another former chairwoman of the Council. She has been working in the environmental science for decades. She has started a brand new job this Monday as the Senior Director of Policy at the Audubon Society of Rhode Island. And Michael Zarum, a constituent of mine, a civil and environmental engineer, is president of the Bucky Brook Coalition. The House of Representatives, thank you for your hard work and diligence in protecting some of our most important natural resources in Rhode Island. Please join with me in giving them applause.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your hard work. And I think Representative Norton and I have been here a while, and we know sometimes it takes a while to get things done. Thank you. For immediate consideration, Representative Norton has a House resolution congratulating the Rhode Island Rivers Council on the occasion of its 25th anniversary. And thank you for your work. Clerk, please leave on the desk for signatures. One moment. Okay, and this resolution is seconded by Representative Handy, Representative McAtee, Canario Agello, Representative Gallison, Fogarty, Representative Ackerman, Maldonado, Regenberg, Representative Palangio, Lombardi, McNamara, Representative Malik, Marshall, Messier, Representative Moran, and Representative Bennett, and many more in the House. Thank you. Representative Norton, did you want that read? Thank you. Clerk, please read. One moment, please. Clerk, please. Representative Norton moved the resolution. We have many seconds. All those in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution passes.
House resolution congratulating Rhode Island Rivers Council on the occasion of its 25th anniversary. Whereas water is beneficial and vital to all life, and in the immortal words of Henry David Thoreau, who hears the rippling of rivers will not utterly despair of anything. And whereas the Rhode Island Rivers Council was established by the Rhode Island General Assembly in 1991, over the ensuing 25 years, this fine organization has been managing efforts to improve the quality of our state's rivers and their watersheds, and developing and strengthening the unity of all local watershed councils. And whereas through statewide coordination, diligent oversight, and strenuous review efforts, the Rhode Island Rivers Council has produced vast improvements and formed beneficial partnerships for preserving the quality of our rivers and other water bodies. The council sets policy, goals, and guidance for 10 local watershed councils within the state. And whereas one such example of the council's coordinated efforts is with the Buckeye Brook Coalition, a nonprofit corporation which was founded in 2002, and their application was accepted in 2004 to become a local watershed council. The coalition works to protect, preserve, and restore Buckeye Brook, its watershed, and its self-sustaining herring run. And whereas, in addition to the Buckeye Brook Coalition, the Rivers Council supports and strengthens the efforts of 9 additional state-designated local watershed councils, including the Blackstone River Watershed Council, Friends of the Blackstone, the Friends of the Moshassuck, the Kickamuit River Council, the Narrow River Preservation Association, the Patuxent River Authority and Watershed Council, the Salt Ponds Coalition, the 10 Mile River Watershed Council, the Wood Pawcatuck Watershed Association, and the Woonasquatucket River Watershed Council. And whereas, through public awareness and education programs and initiatives, the Rhode Island Rivers Council has been brightening and preserving our rivers for future generations of Rhode Islanders to enjoy. Now, therefore, be it resolved, this House of Representatives of the State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations hereby commends and honors the Rhode Island Rivers Council for its devotion to improving Rhode Island's most treasured asset. We furthermore congratulate its membership, both past and present, on the occasion of their 25th anniversary, and know that they will continue to work to ensure a sparkling tomorrow for all Rhode Islanders. And be it further resolved, the Secretary of State be and he is authorized and directed to transmit a duly certified copy of this resolution to the chair of the Rhode Island Rivers Council.
And clerk, we're going to leave that on the desk for signatures. I have a House resolution extending condolences by Leader DeSimone and Leader Newberry. All those in favor, aye. Opposed? Resolution passes. I have another resolution for immediate consideration by Leader DeSimone and Leader Newberry extending congratulations. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, we're back to introductions and announcements. Representative Slater, you have some guests.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have some very special guests here today with us from Scituate Middle School. And one in particular is you say, why am I introducing some guests from Scituate Middle School? Well, one is my niece, Isabella Palumbo, and her classmates, Victoria O'Neill, Kiara Loaiza, and Olivia Santilli. And they're all here today performing a C-SPAN student project, and it's Road to the White House, and their topic is Syrian refugees. So they came here to interview a few of the representatives, and I appreciate them being up here and the representatives that are here to help them with their project. So thank you, girls, and good luck on your project. And also, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention my sister-in-law who's here with them is Nancy Rodriguez. So,
good thing you remembered that one. Welcome to the House. Representative Sherpa.
Thank you, Speaker. Madam Speaker, unlike Representative Ucci, I do have a point of personal privilege, and I'm not kidding.
Proceed.
I usually look forward to the Providence Journal every morning with my coffee. I read it page to page, and I usually find the op-ed section usually one of the most informative sections of the newspaper. And I recognize that the purpose of an editorial is not to present both sides of an issue, but rather to influence the outcome. But in any good editorial, there is usually at least reference to the other side. So imagine my surprise and my chagrin this morning when the editorial made a rather strong implication that I introduced a bill related to the local control of charter schools and mayoral academies at the request of the unions, when nothing could be further from the truth. Because it was provocative in that they left out the simple truth that I represent one of the poorest communities in the whole state. You've heard my story before about the town of West Warwick. You heard my story how we barely averted bankruptcy. Former Director of Administration Rosemary Booth-Gologly worked with our town for years, was frankly losing her patience with us and about to put us into receivership or bankruptcy. Long story short, we hired a new town manager who was willing and able to sit with the unions, got some concessions from all unions, put the vote and the agreement to an all-day referendum. We came out in droves and voted ourselves a tax increase over the next 5 years. And you all had to pass a special bill for that piece of legislation because, as you know, any bargaining agreement can only have a shelf life of 3 years. So you all passed that bill for me, and I'm appreciative because guess what? It's working. Our bond rating has gone up. And I didn't do that for the unions. I did it for my people in District 27 because I care about my taxpayers. If we had gone into receivership or into bankruptcy, you know what the final outcome would have been. It would have been a tax increase, probably more than the one we voted for ourselves. We no sooner get that in place, it's working, and I'm a little ashamed to say it, but our town council people heard some white noise in the background of a possible mayoral academy. They knew there was chatter. They had no clue that there was actually an application going forward. They called me. They said, Pat, the ink isn't dry. We've got a mayoral academy coming in. At full implementation, it's going to take over $1 million a year out of this community. What are we going to do? How are we going to resolve this? So we had some chats, cooler head prevailed, and the rest is history. We don't have either a charter school or a mayoral academy in my town. But all that did was buy some time. I'm not proud to say we're the poster child of being caught flat-footed, but I put in that legislation to help all of you so that your local elected officials aren't caught by the short hairs and, frankly, getting another unfunded mandate shoved down their throats, and they don't have the money to pay that bill for that parallel school district. That's the purpose of that bill. The only purpose. So I'm only hoping that Go Local Prov is listening, and I hope that I make the not hot list this week for introducing this bill, because then I'll say, good, I did my job. And then the other problem I had with that editorial was to malign the good names of my colleagues who co-sponsored that bill. Educators who care about public education, Omori and O'Brien, to malign them because they care about their public school students and don't want to see them lose out? What's up with that? And to malign the good work of Representative O'Grady's commission, calling it spurious when he used the data given to him by our own Department of Education. So that's the story. That's the whole story. I'm nobody's union bidder. I voted for pension reform, remember. I'm a teacher. Don't think I didn't lose a few friends over that vote. So this bill is for my town. My other town of Coventry doesn't know how it's going to pay for all-day K. Oh, great. Let a mayoral academy come in there. They'll have a harder time paying for all-day K. My other city of Warwick, they're trying to combine high schools to save some money. Oh, great. Let a mayoral academy come in there. How are they going to do that? So I hope Go Local is listening. I hope I make the not hot list. District 27, I'm up here doing your bidding, watching out for your tax dollar. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Thank you for clarifying that. Representative O'Grady.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I, too, would like to rise on a point of personal privilege and begin by thanking Representative Chairwoman Serpa for making such an impassioned speech. I concur wholeheartedly with the sentiments and facts that she just presented to this chamber. I'm taking exception to a particular portion of the editorial that was included in today's projo, and I'll just read specifically what it says. In referring to me, the editorial says that I ran last year's notorious study commission that cherry-picked data to make a spurious case against charters. It also referred to me as being larded, which I've not been called before, so I might otherwise take exception to the use of that word. But this is now at least the third editorial that we've seen in the projo that attacks the data that was used in last year's study commission. And what I thought was curious at the time last year, and I still find curious, is that the data we used was data presented to us by RIDE, and that was the only data that we used. And I made that case on the floor last year. But what makes me get up and speak again today, and I almost thank the editorial board for giving me the opportunity to do so, is that since last spring and today, the governor has impaneled a fair funding formula study commission of her own. That commission was staffed by RIDE, and the materials that were put in front of that commission for their consideration was material presented by RIDE, including data related to the disproportionate expenditure burdens between charter schools and traditional school districts. And so I thought it would be instructive if we looked at the data that was used in the House Special Study Commission last year and compared that data to the data that was used in the governor's study commission that is just now concluding its work. And so I had the pages placed on your desk today, a couple of things. The first thing is issue brief introduction is how it's titled. Looks something like this. This is from the second meeting. And if you flip quickly to page 3, what you will see is data presented by RIDE that compares those expenditures borne entirely by local sending districts and not at all by charters. And on the flip side, those expenditures borne entirely by charters and not at all by traditional school districts. And what you see is that, as was said and reported by the House Study Commission last spring, traditional school districts are entirely responsible, at least under FY14 expenditure data collected by UCOA, for out-of-district special ed placements, retiree health benefits, 18 to 21-year-old post-graduation services for disabled students, preschool early intervention screening and remediation, non-public obligations, meaning textbook support for parochial schools as well as transportation to those schools, and career and technical education. That is a $1,295 per student expenditure burden that is borne by traditional public schools and not at all borne by charter schools. Below that, you see an accounting of those expenses borne entirely by charter schools and not local traditional school districts. And you'll see debt service at $510 per student and rental costs at $430 per student for a total of $940. That is a 37% difference, with the traditional public schools being responsible for 37% greater expenditure burdens than their charter companions. This data entirely bears out the Study Commission's data from last year. I would suggest that there are some things that were cherry-picked from this Commission's report. namely special education expenditures. What our commission looked at last year was the extent to which local school districts serve a greater proportion of high-cost special ed students versus the high occurrence but low-cost special ed students that might be characterized by a slight speech impediment or a single learning disability. That was not captured in this data, is not factored into the 37%. However, RIDE does include that in a subsequent handout to their commission. And I've put that on your table as well. And what this shows is the difference in per pupil special education costs by district. You can find your district right on there. The top is East Greenwich, and the bottom is the Village Green Academy. And you will see that this is color-coded. All of the blue schools are traditional public schools. All of the yellow schools are charters. And I think if you look at this, you can see quite clearly where the distribution lies, with charter schools very much at the bottom of this expenditure burden, in addition to the 37% differential that's explained in this here. So I would commend the editorial page to go back and look at the data, compare it to the data that the governor is using now, or the governor's commission is using now, and you tell me where the difference is, and you tell me who's cherry-picking to make a spurious case. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Thank you for all those facts. Representative Lombardi, do you have your light on?
Do I have my light on? I guess I have it on now.
Thank you.
How'd you know I was going to have my light on?
When you're up here, you can read minds. But, oh, I'm not supposed to let anybody know that.
Did you learn that in the streets of Silver Lake, Madam Chair? My God, no wonder why Hugo was so friendly with Mother Teresa.
Proceed, anyway. Representative Lombardi, while your mic is still on.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and the members of this body. This is an introduction. I want to introduce my clerk, Christian Alvarado. This young man right here. It's just a very interesting young man, and I met him a few months ago, about maybe 6 months ago. He called me. He had some issues. He was concerned about homelessness and a few other things. So I said, well, come in my office. And lo and behold, I find out he lives like a block down the street from me. And then he starts to tell me his story. And I'll tell you, there's not too many things that bring a tear to my eye. But I got to tell you, this one will bring a tear to your eye. He was homeless. He's currently working for the Parent Support Network. He told me I had to say that first, so I'm sorry. Various foster homes. He doesn't have a father. Does not know who his father is. Has a mother. Did everything he could to try and work within the household. It was an abusive household. And I obviously asked him if I could say these things. And decided that he wanted to do what he had to do. He's 22 years old, but I can tell you this. I'm 163. He's older than me, this kid. It's unreal. He's wise. He's very, very wise. He's harmless. But I'll tell you the thing about him is that he cares. And so much so that I bring him in court with me when I wear my fourth hat and my robe. And someday I'll tell everybody what I really wear under the robe, but that's a story for another day. And I got to tell you, he's right there. He says, you know, this guy's homeless. I want to talk to him. And he gives him a whole bunch of things that he can do. And, you know, someone is getting parking tickets, overnight parking tickets. I have the forms. It's like, wow, this guy really cares. This young man really gets it. And he recently he was having a little bit of a skirmish on the phone recently about, you know, his education and all that. He says, I never went to high school. I never went to high school. So how would I know what maybe a verb is or whatever? But guess what? He's in college. This gentleman did it all on his own. You want to talk about a role model? This is your role model over here. All our kids should be like this young man. He's not a kid, he's a man. He's truly a man. He totally gets it. And I'm honored and privileged to call him. He's not my intern. This guy's like my soul brother. I love this kid. Just imagine, you don't know who your father is. You've been homeless. You've been in and out of foster homes. Yet you had the intestinal fortitude. I would have used another word, but I can't. Jerusalem, you know what I'm talking about. You got the intestinal fortitude to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You got a home now. You're in school. You got a job. One of the things, he could have got paid to do what he's doing with me. You know what he said? No, I don't want it. Give it to somebody else. Talk about giving back. So I just want to say, Madam Chair, thank you for having the ESP to know that I had my button on. And this is the role model for all our children and all our people in Rhode Island. They should all live by this. I just wish I can be 1/100th of what he is. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Representative, for that heartwarming story. Chairman Gallison?
Announcement, Madam Speaker.
Proceed.
Thank you. The House Committee on Finance will be meeting at the Rise, and I'd like to remind all members that have filed bills with the committee, if you could also file a request for hearing so that make sure your bill is heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative Kazarian.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Birthdays are special because you get to celebrate the people that you love. And today I'm very excited to announce that today is my mother's 60th birthday. So, Michelle Kazarian, congratulations. We love you so much, and you are the backbone of our family. Love you.
Knowing your mom, Michelle, I also want to take a second to wish her a happy birthday. I know she's very fond of birthdays. I don't know how fond she'll be happy about that number you mentioned. I haven't been there, but happy birthday, Michelle. Whip Edwards.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Adjournment request.
Proceed.
I'd like to have the House adjourn today in the memory of Ted Hersey. He was a great coach, an awesome physics teacher, and just a great human being all around. And he'll be sorely missed by not only his family, but by the entire St. George's community. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Diaz.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Request for announcement.
Proceed.
The House Committee on Health, Education, and Welfare will be meeting at the Rise, room 101. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Casey.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can we go back to new business, please?
New business. Representative Casey with new business. Any other new business? Representative Natalillo with new business. Anyone else? Last call. New business. Back to announcements. Representative Ucci.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Request for adjournment.
Proceed.
Today, I'm requesting on behalf of Representative Filippi, who is ill, to adjourn in the memory of Nancy Calderon, and I am requesting that we adjourn in the memory of Carmela Hogan and Anna Richard. They will be sorely missed by their families. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. And Representative Filippi, if you're watching, I hope you feel better. Chairman Corvesi.
I think you just gave me a promotion. Thank you very much.
I have an appointment with you tomorrow.
Was that what
I hope I don't have to wait. I called on you quickly, too.
Is that why you're trying to butter me up?
Yes.
Well, we'll see how long the drops work. Could we go back to new business, Madam Chair?
Yep, new business. Representative Corvesi with new business. Any other new business? Back to announcements and introductions. Leader DeSimone.
Announcement, please, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Proceed.
Tomorrow, we will have a photographer available in the House Lounge for 1 hour before session and 1 hour after session. And those pictures, the new photos, will be for your website and other official business. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Is there any objection to transmitting all matters on the clerk's desk to Her Excellency, the Governor, the Honorable Senate, or the Secretary of State forthwith? Hearing no objections, so ordered. Leader DeSimone moves that the House adjourn in memory of Nancy Calderon, Carmela Hogan, Anna Richard, and Hubert C. Ted Hersey. The motion is seconded by Leader Newberry. All those in favor, please stand for a moment of silence. House is adjourned.